Arrione Curry was opening things up among her friends about Martell Holt that shocked many. The conversation was straight and unabashed from the start. Secrets in the conversation that had been whispered for years were now coming out into the open. Her manner was as if she was telling that these secrets were not just rumors, but things she herself had seen or heard. The conversation turned to a point where the real issue was not just about infidelities or affairs with women. It was about Martell's private lifestyle that he hid from the public. Arrione Curry clarified that this secret is not like any common rumor. She was explaining that Martell sometimes engaged in intimate interactions with men that felt better than normal. Friend behavior hugging, putting a hand on the shoulder or waist, and going into environments where they were not recognized. Arrione Curry also stated that Martell would sometimes behave in such a way that saving others first. Controlling certain people or stories is his first motive, then saving himself. This strategy argued that if a secret were to come out, he would first try to control its behavior. There was a particular episode in the conversation where Arrione Curry said that at one point Martell was worried that one of his secrets might be revealed, and he told the chosen how to handle the matter. That moment was important because it showed the effort to control privacy, and its impact is not limited to the individual, but extends to those within its sphere of influence. Arrione also points out that sometimes such disclosures can reduce the damage, and sometimes the cover-up itself creates more complicated drops. When we see Martell in the TV series, he appears to be a confident, charming, and often in control person. But Arrione Curry's conversation put a crack in this picture. She explained that there can be a whole other world in the background that is not revealed in front of the camera. It all didn't start overnight, Arrione Curry said, but rather a web of years, small meetings, special trips, and moments confined to certain circles. The secret and its potential implications were also meaningful to those close to Martell. Melody Sherry, Martell's ex-wife, for example, seems to be moving on with her life and career and is seemingly unconcerned about it, but how these inside stories affected the relationship, according to Aaron, needs to be understood. Arrione Curry herself has been outspoken about the conditions and people in Huntsville. So when she says that these cases are based on observations rather than suspicions, the impact is deeper. Another aspect emerged in the conversation: a contradiction in Martell's behavior. At one point, he would make harsh statements about certain people, and at other times, the same man would at one point appear with Carlos King in a way that felt contradictory. Arm wraps, naked intimacy, etc. This discrepancy surprised people and raised questions whether he is playing a specific role for TV or his personal existence is different from the familiarity shown on TV. It is worth noting here that when a person hides his private preferences or private relationships, the world around him is also affected. Arrione Curry made it clear that secrets of this nature are not confined to individuals but ripple through families, friends, and social circles. When a secret is revealed, the effects are immediate. Trust is broken. Relationships are strained, and every little move is reinterpreted. Arrione Curry recounts an incident when someone instructed her to handle a certain fact before it came out. That moment illustrates how some people use strategic awareness to limit the impact. It suggests that in the world of secrets, there is a strong element of control and story. Who knows what, when, and who should be told first, all forming part of a plan. When we read of Martell's visit to Atlanta, this part is also important. There, according to Arrione Curry, he would go to places where he would be less known and be free to act as he pleased. This type of travel supports the notion that some people hide or change their true identity in certain situations, and that this concealment sometimes affects entire relationship structures. It also suggests that there can be a gap between a person's public image and private reality, and that this gap often leads to false harmony or hidden contradictions. Arrione Curry also points out in the interview that this stream of secrets spans many people, characters like Maurice, Marcel, and Letitia, or Destiny, Kimmy, Nell, etc., all of whom are interconnected, and their relationships are heavily interwoven with hidden stories, sightings, and rumors. Destiny's love history, Its relationships and the situations it creates have changed group dynamics many times. That's why when she walks into a room, tension immediately shifts and people start circling. Everyone examines who she has a connection with, how she will affect us. As the conversation progressed, Arrione Curry described in detail the scenes and events that shaped this entire network. This included everything from small meetings to big public moments. Moments that may have escaped the eye but are etched in the memory. Arrione Curry explained that many times Martell's behavior seemed to shrink or expand from his usual narrative, meaning that he would change himself depending on the occasion. Sometimes he was tough, sometimes soft, and sometimes unexpectedly intimate, especially when he was with men. In the chain of events, the photos with Carlos King and the scenes with everyone were mentioned again and again. Arrione Curry said that Martell's intimacy with Carlos was not just a simple pleasantry, but in certain scenes he felt quite candid, shirt open, arms folded, and a sequence that begged the question of which version of himself he was portraying. This discrepancy confused many people because Martell had made statements in the media, and on other occasions that did not match the discrepancy. The discussion also pointed to how such behaviors evoke complex emotions within the group. When such information circulates about an individual, it is not limited to that individual's personal reputation. They also change other people's judgments, commitments, and protective behaviors. For example, if a person perceives that his partner or loved one is involved in something that might lead to conflict, he either withdraws or begins to look at the relationship from a different angle. All these processes gradually change the dynamics of the group. Arrione Curry brings up another important point. When secrets come out, the timing of their coming out is important. That is, who tells when, who finds out first, and how the matter is handled. It's all a kind of strategy. In the example of Arrione Curry, there was an incident where she was told to inform a few select people before anything is leaked so that the damage is minimized. This bridge was meaningful because it suggested that there could be a serious plan around secrets plans that try to keep reactions under control. Arrione Curry briefly mentions the trip to Atlanta, where Martell had the opportunity to go to places where there was little recognition and where he could act freely as he pleased. This reinforced the impression that some individuals prefer to live their private lives in certain places where they are relatively free from identity. This behavior shows that there is sometimes a great distance between public image and private reality. Yet, the answer to the reason for this distance and the complex experiences that result from it often emerges over time. Destiny Payton's name came up again and again in the conversation, and her relationship changed the mood of the entire group several times. Destiny's history of relationships directly affected other people's decisions and reactions. When such relationships circulate in one's network, their influence reaches many homes and conversations. That's why Destiny automatically changes the atmosphere. When it's in a group setting, the underlying relationships and backstories draw people's attention to it. Additionally, the reactions of Melody. Sherry also changed the atmosphere several times, and Melody's quiet but meaningful presence created a varied scene. Each time, these three women seemed to intervene in the situation in different ways, sometimes stirring up the conflict, sometimes cooling the situation, and sometimes a sentence that then turns things around and takes a new direction. This mixed reaction makes this whole social drama more complicated. As the conversation progressed, Arrione Curry also revealed that Martell sometimes made decisions that were made by telling relatives or certain friends first, such as notifying the people concerned first in a sensitive situation to keep the news under control. This shows that Martell, whatever he was conscious of his own reputation and the public's reaction. This means that there is a level of partnership in such secrets and their management, where specific individuals are involved first to limit the impact of the incident. Arrione Curry added that sometimes these secrets give birth to things that are directly related not only to private life, but also to the public narrative. When these secrets come out, not only do personal relationships get disrupted, but they can also affect decisions, relationships, and even professional life. These are the elements that turn a small incident into a major conflict. That's what we see when we look at all these teens together. Now, when we combine all the evidence, scenes, and conversations, a larger picture emerges, a picture that shows how hidden secrets, from mere whispers to outright revelations, change the relationship's objectivities and innermost feelings of an entire community. Arrione Curry conversation that started it all was just a starting point. But the threads he unravels tie the whole story together. Arrione Curry repeatedly emphasized that these are not all accusations or rumors, but rather observations and experiences, and when different people are connected, these observations have an impact on each other. For example, when one of Martell's actions or an image raised questions, those questions quickly translated into other people's reactions. Some people became angry, some withdrew, and some took on a behavior that changed the structure of the relationship. The conversation also made it clear that disclosure of secrets is important, not only in personal terms, but also in social terms. In Huntsville or similar small communities, people know each other. Relationships are deep. And the effect of revealing secrets creates a certain social tension. That's why when things like this come up, there's debate, and sometimes even harsh criticism, because everyone's looking at it from their own vantage point. When we examine this entire network, one thing is clear. Each individual story is unique, but they are all tied together in a web where one change affects the entire web. Martell's possible private life, relationship with Carlos, Destiny's relationship. All of these are not isolated events, but interconnected. When one thread opens, the other threads also move, and this movement sometimes brings unfavorable results. It's also worth noting that the media has a huge role to play as well. Social media, clips, and videos shared by Black, Titanic, or other sources all publicize the network's story. While some people want a reality check, many people just watch it for the thrill or entertainment. When Arrione Curry's talk went viral, its effects were not limited to private circles but turned into a big public debate. This debate is often emotional and creates more impression than reality. Commenting, Arrione Curry also said that when we talk about a personality's private life, we should not forget that there are human beings too, their emotions, their relationships, and their personal responsibilities. Although stories can be sensational and perhaps even beneficial, their human side is always present. This is why some people are cautious about such matters. And some people are open to debate. Both behaviors are part of this complex landscape. If we look at the future scenario, it is likely that as more clips, conversations, or evidence comes to light, this whole network will be exposed more. Each revelation adds new links, and people look to social media or statements for more information. In this flow, becomes difficult to distinguish between fact and speculation. This is the problem that audiences need to be wary of. Finally, this entire narrative teaches us a lesson. Secrets and their effects are not simply individual. When a secret permeates a social circle, it changes the structure of relationships, trust, and community. Arrione Curry talk showed how small events add up over time to form a bigger picture. And that picture itself raises questions and reactions. We would like this to be limited to fan interest, but when it comes to real people and their lives, caution must be exercised.